Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Event Marketing Redefined. We are live at Exhibitor Live on day 2. I have the one and only Dave Walens with me, CEO of Exploring Inc., ID3 Group, Brewmark, Exploring Graphics. You got 3 really cool companies in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Good seeing you.
Full disclosure, Dave is my mentor, and someone's helped me out a ton. I appreciate that, man, and thanks for all the support.
You bet. Enjoy it.
Thanks, man. So you are industry vet. You have 3 really cool companies in our space that do 3 very different things. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing in the industry right now. Anything cool you're seeing? Anything you're excited about personally?
Yeah, I love seeing the industry come back like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really, really exciting to see it bounce back and be as active as it is, and that's really leading to a lot of innovation, I think. Starting to see it even on the show floor at Exhibitor Live, seeing a lot of LED technology, seeing a little bit of AR being used out on the show floor, which is good. So people are pushing the envelope and innovating and really focused to delivering a good brand message, which is great to see.
Yeah, I've been having all these conversations with the CTSM folks, right? These event marketers, and I'm really encouraged by what they're saying. So some of them not as experienced as others, but pushing for results, pushing to deliver experience, right? Talking about the right things, talking about the audience, which I think is just really, really good for our industry moving forward, because events need to be a marketing channel. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. We've been pushing that for a long time. Everybody in the industry has to show value, and, this is the time to do it. They got a choice of where to put their marketing dollars, and hopefully they're going to put them into events and trade shows and because they see the return. So
nice.
Agree with you.
Tell me about some of the awesome work that ID3 Group is doing, and this custom themed just environment and just awesome builds you guys are doing. Tell us a little bit.
Hey, look, it's great. Look, all we've done is just kind of lean forward and take a vision of the future while we look and build a company today. But, that put us into a lot of different markets besides trade shows. So we're into, retail environments, and we're working in the hospitality industry, and we're working in the themed environment industry. And so that really pushes our thought process as we're building projects. So we've got a lot of fun things, some big customers, Great Wolf Lodge being one of them. We're doing work for aquariums, and it's really fun because we get to take the techniques we do in one industry and apply it to another for a little bit of innovation. And that really allows our team to really be creative in how they solve problems from a fabrication point of view. So
that's awesome. What's the full value proposition there with what you guys are doing to those different spaces? Is it the creativity? Is it the sort of I would consider them to be over the top, wild build out type of material stuff and things? What's the value prop there?
Our goal is to be another tool for our customers, which are the design build firms, right? We don't work brand side, so we're not the design firm to come to from that perspective, but we want to be a tool for our customers by giving them solutions to the designs that they're doing, and really not having to think about parameters, and really looking for design for the sake of what's best for the customer, and then executing on that. We do that through a process called 3-dimensioneering, where we actually take design or your designs, we meld it with engineering, figuring out how we're going to build it using the right materials and the right techniques, and then we bring it to life through our manufacturing process. So we've leaned in to advanced manufacturing, so we've got robotics, plasma, look, we got water jet cutting, we've got 3D printing, right? And all this integrates together to be really a solution provider.
One of my favorite things at your super cool facility, and it could be simple, but for me it's awesome, is that big foam thing where you take a massive piece of foam block and then it just gets carved out.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It amazes me every day too,
it's
man.
Crazy.
I get to walk through the shop and see some very cool things being built and parts and pieces, and then see them come to life. But, robotics is a big piece of that. It's really hard to find, top-rate sculptors these days, and at the speed that we have to go to produce these projects. Sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day, so we've leaned into robotics, and we really built our team around building 3-dimensional models that we're able to bring into programs to let our robot cut these elements and into the finest details. So it's really cool to be able to see these things come to life. And when you mix that with the artists themselves who come in and the sculptors and being able to refine these things, man, it really brings how we solve problems to a new level.
You guys have I remember being at your place, you guys have like a gigantic King Kong sized like basketball player, like an Atlanta Hawk. I forget who it was, in Millsap?
Yeah, Ryan
Paul,
Millsap.
yeah, I mean, just in the ceiling, the rafters. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, he's
It's
about 25 feet tall,
it's
20
so
feet tall.
cool. And that was downtown, right? It was outside downtown?
Yeah, he was a billboard in his day that we built, so it was very cool. After they traded him and they retired him, we worked with the Hawks to get him back, and now he's up in the shop, and he's an icon in our shop, and we love it. But it really shows an example of our work, because the stuff that comes into our facility will go out the door, and unfortunately, folks like you who do get to do a tour of the facility don't get to see our final products because they're in and they're out. He's one that we get to keep there all the time, so he's an icon now.
That one made me
You
laugh.
cannot have him, Matt.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep asking in indirect ways. You said
Wait, did you ever see the golf club we made for Mizuno?
no.
Oh, yeah, we made a giant golf club driver when Mizuno was launching it at the PGA
I'll
golf
ask you.
event. Oh, great project.
Now I'll end up asking you for that.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe I'll just bribe James for it.
We don't own it, so we'll have to remake you one.
All right. You mentioned like immersive, right? These experiences and things that are being created. I think that's 100% a direction this industry's going in, right? Experience has been talked about 5 years ago.
Right.
Experience, but I don't think it really came to fruition. I feel now it's truly starting to come to fruition. Just tell me a little bit about that, because I know you were on the front end of that. And
Yeah, we as an association, Exhibit Designers and Producers Association, EDPA, changed their name to Experiential Designers and Producers Association because we are in so many unique environments that it's really about the experience and not about the construction anymore. And I do agree with you, Matt. The industry's been slow to move to the experiential by, really challenging themselves to find ways to create that connection, that brand connection in unique ways. We've leaned to materials that we know because things turn so quickly, but we're starting to see it more and more. The past 5 years, I would agree, we're starting to see more people really embrace that experiential, bringing in new materials and new techniques, and just taking bolder steps and bringing in things from, what the themed industry, theme experience industry, or theme parks, and bringing them into the trade show world and really trying to bring in a little more three-dimension. It's been good to see the evolution happen. Though it has been slow, I think we'll start to see it accelerate.
I just had a young CTSM program person on my show, event marketer. Her and I were just shooting the breeze about stuff. I'm talking to her, and she actually used the phrase ROX, return on experience. And I was like, hey, walk me through that a little bit, And another conversation I had the day before, someone was talking about the emotions they want people feeling when they leave their space, when they leave their booth, how to extend that, right? And that experience, what's it leaving you with? What's it making you feeling? Is it memorable? And I think that's all what that stuff does, which is really cool for brands.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that concept, and I agree with it, because that's the real benchmark. Did we actually do something positive and affect our customer in a good way while they're at our show? And that's the beauty of the trade show. We have that opportunity for every show we go to, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully that's what we're achieving. That's a great benchmark. I love that.
Yeah, isn't that cool what she said? And she said they're actually trying to figure out how to measure.
That would be a challenge, but it's possible.
I think it's a conversation of another CTSM program person I talked to was talking about they are struggling to measure what she considers intangibles, right? And I said, give me an example.
Yeah.
She said brand awareness. So we started going down the rabbit hole of talking about like, what are some ways to measure brand awareness?
Right.
And there's other things outside of just a flat ROI. Like, hey, we spent 150 grand. We drove 100 leads and we closed 3 in the next 9 months for $500,000, right? That's a simple equation that most people can do good to figure out.
Right.
But those intangibles people are starting to figure out now, the experience, all that.
I think when you say that, it leads me to think about the whole organization has to be embraced around that concept, that you really need to have everybody's buy-in to make that work, because as you leave with a lead, the sales team is going to have to be really well engaged to measure that, right? Upper management's going to need to be paying attention, understanding that objective. Marketing is going to have to pay close attention to the results of that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that, and I think that's what has to happen. I think to have an experience that's effective and know it and track it and evaluate it, you're going to have feedback from all aspects of your business.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned executives having buy-in, right? Because here with the people at the CTSM program, they obviously have buy-in because they're sending for education. But I think in our industry, one of the big problems is there's a lot of people running event marketing programs, trade show programs, who don't have buy-in from executives. And just doing things the way they've always done it will suffice, per se. I actually had somebody say that, quote unquote, right? So that education piece, that pushing the boundary, I think is something that need to find a way to do it, need to find a way to deliver on it.
You know, and I think that's where technology will start to take a play in that. You know, when you can create these exhibits in a VR or AR environment, think about educating your sales team before you even built the exhibit.
Yeah.
And letting them start practicing what they're going to deliver, how they're going to deliver, how they're going to follow up with it after a show and extend that experience that you had on the show floor, you know, for a year. And how does that integrate with everything else you're doing? That may be a little easier process with technology today. So yeah, I could see it. Maybe that's a place for some more the virtual events that have happened and how they extend themselves. So yeah, I mean, we have to continue to be willing to take those chances to push it, to show the value, or we'll stop seeing customers coming to trade shows. We don't want that to happen.
No, we don't. Another interesting thing, attribution, right? From marketing, where things are labeled, where are they coming from? I had one woman I sat with was like, it's just hard to identify everything, you know? And I think a lot of big companies have an old school model way of saying, hey, attribution, we need it perfectly aligned. It came from this ad in Google to here. Whereas now events are like, whoa, where's our footing here?
Right.
Are we entering people in the top of the funnel, the middle, the bottom? Where are we pushing them through? What are these touch points looking like? I thought she asked me a fascinating question about what they're struggling with in the space, because my point is people are finding success with face-to-face events, and now they're trying to figure out how they're tying it back to deliverables, ROI, ROX, business objectives.
Yeah, regardless of how they may be tracking it, the fact that they are trying to track it is a great thing.
Yep.
And love hearing that, and keep talking to them because that's where we need their eyes. They know how to track it better than we ever will, but absolutely, there's so many ways to impact, you know, what they're doing with their marketing efforts around a trade show.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So love to hear it and love to hear the results that you're hearing back from this.
Yeah.
So keep sharing them.
You got it, man. Something you always tell me that I always, I've heard you say a bunch. It always strikes me and gets me really questioning. Well, it gets me questioning myself, but is you always say think bigger.
Yeah.
Right? What right now in this industry, what's maybe something you're thinking or you're hearing about where you think people need to be thinking bigger? What's a space, anything where you think people need to think bigger?
You know, great question, and I appreciate that. You know, I say think bigger because that's really where you drive a future vision, and you start innovating to reach, you know, bigger than what you're used to, and it's easy to get complacent and design the same things over and over again or build the same things over and over. So pushing yourself really helps. You know, I'll give you an example of that. You know, my think big right now is the fact that I believe that the designer is going to be at the top of the food chain very soon.
Yeah.
And that we have to realize that our industry needs to morph for the design. You know, the experienced economy by Jim Gilmore and Joe Pine. They've done an amazing job. I read the book. If you haven't read it, you got to read it.
I got it, yep.
You know, they're all about an experienced economy. And I think what we're morphing into is a custom experience economy, whether it's at a trade show or anywhere, at a restaurant or hospitality, right? It's going to be customized to ourselves. So the only way to meet the need of the customer that fast is with a design team that's well in tune with changing and being able to customize an experience. So, you know, the designer is going to become more impactful. Look at AI, what it's doing, right? People are fearful of it. But the fact is, with AI, you're able to do things so quickly. So think about the power of the designer who can learn it, understand it, and bring it to a company. The value of a designer just went up exponentially of importance. I think there'll be, you know, probably more important than some of the, you know, detailing and project management, which are all unbelievably important. But the design is going to drive that, where they kind of been following, you know, customers and they're kind of in their silos. So I do think it's going to expand, and I think that's maybe a bigger vision, but I think that vision is going to start to come to life.
I like that a lot. I mean, design coming up to the top of the food chain. I've always said in our industry, design sells. It does. People want design. They crave the design. They want to see something visual, right? And I think what you're talking about, like experience and like the experience economy, right? maybe design economy is the new thing, but like what it makes me think of is like Topgolf or Tiger Woods' thing, Pop Stroke. So they're taking restaurants and they're saying people want an experience when they go to a restaurant, not just to sit down and have food.
That's right.
So now you're seeing these massive build outs, which are designed. There's a designer, there's a concept. You walk up to a Pop Stroke, you're like, whoa. I mean, it's awesome. I was there 3 weeks ago with my kids. It was amazing. And that's, I think, tying that in, the design with the experience,
You bet.
it's going to be key.
You're going to like this one. So I was just at a private club that was basically a country club environment without the golf course.
Yeah.
So you literally have to be a member.
Yep.
And they have all the simulators and everything, so you could actually play a little
Inside.
golf. But it's a bar and a restaurant.
Yep. And you got to join.
And that's their environment without the golf course. Great idea, and they're packed. And they're sold out.
Because people like the social aspect.
They love all aspects of that experience of sitting in a clubhouse after we play golf and enjoying that experience is what they want. So they gave them what they wanted, and their customers are absolutely loving it. Private meetings are, I mean, it was a great concept. And things like that are just thought, it's really about creative thinking, about thinking outside the box and pushing ideas and then going for them.
Like that. What, any issues in our industry that you feel need to are like, I mean, there's a lot, just like any industry, right? I mean, there is. But any ones in particular you think need to be taken care of right away, should be a priority, should be a focus?
We're an industry that's challenged with a workforce.
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue to, many industries, but especially our industry. We're challenged in different ways because many of our companies are hiring carpenters and welders in the trade.
Yeah.
We need detailers and project managers, and there is no track at university level really to get them an education. So workforce becomes a huge challenge for us. We have an aging workforce, although we have been backfilling it, and we're taking some initiatives to change that, which is great. But I think that's a big issue for our industry in general. And that's one that we got to pay close attention to. And then really looking at technology again and just seeing how technology is going to impact, in a good way, our industry.
Wow.
It's an issue if we don't pay attention to it. It'll be great if we do and take advantage of it.
So I was talking to a woman from the CTSM program. She was talking about using AI. She writes her emails with it.
Absolutely.
So just the evolution of, Gen Zs, millennials who are going to become the buyers right now. For the next 10 years, the buyers are going to be Gen Z and millennials, right? They're using AI. They're going to test technology. They're going to want technology.
You bet. Look, we're saving time. I mean, look, I'm old enough to know.
Don't date yourself.
Yeah,
here.
I'm going to do it.
Don't
So
date-
in 1983, I started my company and bought my first computer in 1983.
Crazy.
Right? When computers came out, we were like, oh, this will make us faster, right? We'll be able to do more. And sure enough, we were able to do more. Look at today. Now we're so consumed with doing things. Look what AI is going to do. It saved us time. We backfilled it with other stuff. We're about to experience that all over again.
Yeah, with AI.
And, I kind of agree with Bill Gates and Elon Musk. I mean, it's scary, but it's exciting all at the same time. I mean, you've got now the opportunity to backfill with time that lets us think and be even more creative and, more innovative with the things that we're able to do. I'm excited for AI, and I'm excited with technology, what it'll do for us. So I'm not worried about filling time. I think that's going to happen.
I think AI for an event marketer, a good example I've used is I think to myself, like, if you're an event marketer and you're doing events, you need good messaging. You need good story. You need good narrative that you're telling about the problem you solve or your value proposition. You can go into a tool like ChatGPT and sort of state multiple questions about what you sell, what you do, to whom you do it for, and say, need a message to deliver about whatever, and it can give it to you.
Oh, yeah.
So you can speed up your work. You can get yourself in the right direction faster by being creative with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe have more options instead of running down one direction because you only had time for one. You can now look at two or three.
Yeah.
And challenge yourself to, when you start using the tools that are at your disposal, you'll make decisions differently and better. But, and ultimately you're saving time by not having to do all the typing and all the research, right? All that is really minimized. So it gives you more time to, I think, execute on things that are going to be more important. Look, I just saw today, Mitchell Mock was doing a presentation and showed renderings, full renderings through ChatGPT of projects that he put parameters in that were beautiful, right? And he did it in literally seconds. He was able to generate a design of an exhibit in multiple industries. It's not going to put the designer out of business. It's just going to let the designer have more time to creatively solve things in a unique and different way,
Tool.
and maybe more be involved with the customer in more impactful and important ways. So, yeah, I think it's great.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
essentially.
It's going to be a great tool to have.
Workforce. How do we solve workforce? I know you've been, EDPA, it's a big conversation. I've heard tons about it. You're involved with it. What are some solutions here?
It all comes when there is no college course to generate future employees, if you will, in our industry and educate them. We have to do it as an association. We have to do it as a member of the association. We're all in it together. And I think that means everybody has to reach out and realize that our pay it forward is to give back. And that's going to be to find and spend time into educating our young folks, not just in college, all the way back in elementary, middle, and high school.
Jeez.
And if we could start making that effort and just educating them on our industry, educating them on how people make money in our industry and what their opportunities are, I think we're going to build a future workforce just out of our efforts. And this is one unique industry that knows how to come together, as one. You see it going on with the Randy, what we've done at the foundation. We know how to come together as one unified voice. And I think that's what we really need to do, and each play our own part in this. And I think in a short period of time, we can reach thousands and thousands of students who will really understand the future benefit of the trade show world and event world.
We've hired some young staff recently over the last, year and a half as we're coming back and looking for them in certain places and looking for a certain caliber of person. But we have a few that have been with us 6 months to a year that will literally tell some of my directors in our team, like, oh, this is great. I didn't really know this was an option for me. I didn't those things get my brain turning, thinking like, oh, people aren't even considering this.
That's right.
And knowing that it's available and knowing that the concept of bringing something, you sell something that you bring to life, that you produce is it's a cool thing. Not every business has it. And I think it's a big, talk about value prop. I think for our industry, selling to workforce, bringing something to life as what you do for a living versus something transactional that doesn't really exist.
Absolutely.
Is a big sell.
Yeah. What other industry can you actually go in and from start to finish in 30, 60, 90 days, see your idea turn into reality? Crazy. We're one of those few industries, very prideful, very meaningful, and then have a good result by your client. There's nothing that makes you feel better. A lot of self-satisfaction. And you can make a nice living in this industry, incredible living in this industry. And there's a tremendous amount of growth in this industry as we start to really look forward. That's where the big ideas and that's where forward thinking really needs to come into play. Yeah, it's a beautiful industry, and more and more people need to know about it, no doubt.
Any advice for me?
Hey, look, my only advice to you is keep doing what you're doing,
Thanks,
man.
man.
I'm super proud of you. Doing great things. You're taking a lot of chances and risks, and you're learning. And you're failing, and you learn from those mistakes and move on. We need more people that are fearless like you, that are willing to go do it.
Thanks, man.
Building great team. That's what it's all about, and empowering those people around you to do good things. It's that mindset that we need more people like you, Matt, to really keep driving this industry, and appreciate all you're doing. And the energy and the enthusiasm, and your age has no criteria to that success or failure. It's your drive and your willingness to go after it. I love that, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on to talk.
Thanks for having me.